to our pod. And by that, I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are two best friends who like to do a deep dive into a book series, one book at a time. Right now, we are shiting on the Wheel of Time. And today we will be discussing The Men in the Shadow Rising, the fourth book in Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. But first, Laura, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying?
Okay, so I've watched a handful of things recently. So I watched Saved by the Bell on Peacock.
I'm so glad you watched
that. Was so cute.
Like,
I really liked that. Yeah, I really appreciated some of the humor in that. Like, one of the jokes that got me was right towards the end when they were trying to like keep all the kids at Bayside, and Devontae was going to sing a song to distract people, and people were starting to leave, and he said, "If you leave, you're racist." And they all just like kind of like walked back to listen to the song. That one got me, but there was a lot of really good
There was
humor.
Also the joke at the end of it where he stops singing and he goes, "Good job, only two of you are racist."
Yeah.
And someone goes, "I needed to go to the bathroom."
The humor in that was really good, but
it's very funny.
And I also just appreciated the way that they made fun of Zach's kid all the time. Like,
wait, I'm kind of figuring out that my dad might not be a good person.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're a payphone.
You're a payphone. I loved that episode. There was a moment that I heard from like another person when I was listening to the podcast, because one of the premise of the episode is no one can use their phone while they're in school. Yes. And it just becomes like the Wild West, and people are like having breakdowns because they can't look up answers.
Yeah, they'll do. And this is honestly realistic of how kids are without their phones. They break down because they just need to have them.
Selena Gomez's friends were up in arms over a joke that was made about her, but it was really funny in context because it was like people were arguing over who had given her a kidney, and they were like, "It was Justin Bieber's mom." No. And then at the end, someone had graffitied on the wall, "Does Selena Gomez have kidneys?" And they were like doing a breakdown of that. And Zach Morris's son like has a phone, and he's accepting like money for people to like have a phone call in his like in a closet, and someone's like, "You're literally a payphone," and he's like, "I don't even know what that is." It's amazing.
His character is so funny to me. A lot of the characters are really funny, but the obliviousness of these characters is what makes it so funny.
Yes, I agree. It was very funny. I am glad you enjoyed that show.
Yeah. I also watched Wish Dragon on Netflix. It's a kids movie, and it's kind of like it's not really like Aladdin, but similar in the way that you have like a magical being that comes out of a small piece of porcelain and grants you 3 wishes. Okay. But
so it's like a genie, but a wish dragon.
It's a wish dragon, but it's really cute. I really liked that one. My husband and I watched that, and it was pretty funny at times too. Good kid movie, good family movie. And then I started watching Sweet Tooth on Netflix.
Okay, I don't know what that one is.
Okay, that one's the comic book. It's based off a comic book.
Okay.
And there's this virus that appears along the same timeline as these children are born that are hybrids between animals and humans. And
was it the one where the little boy looks like a deer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I have
Gus.
heard of
his name
one.
Is Gus.
Okay. How's that?
I'm only 2 episodes in, but I really love it so far.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're enjoying.
It's really good. And then for reading, I just finished Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid.
What did you think of it?
I loved it.
Oh, good. I'm glad you liked it.
Did you read that one?
Yes, I did. I was a little bit more on it. Like, I didn't think it was bad. I just didn't think it was as amazing as I was hoping it would be.
Sure. I had no expectations going into this book because I did not know what it was about at all. Okay. So I think maybe that helped me a little bit because I know a lot of people have hyped this book up a lot. And I had no clue what it was about. And so I just went in with a blank slate, and I think that helped.
Apparently, I actually loved it because I rated it 5 stars on Goodreads. But in retrospect, I'm not sure. I do think
I would give it 4 stars if it was me, or 4.5 maybe. But I don't know, because I think I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads, but I think in my book journal I gave it 4.5. But
right, I would agree with that rating. Apparently, I liked it a lot more than I thought I did.
It's one of those where the author does a really good job of making the characters endearing, but at the same time, you don't trust them.
Yes. I said this book was one of those books that has fallen into a certain trend about me where if you read the
Mm-hmm.
synopsis of the book and then you read the actual book, you're like, that's not what this book was. Like,
Yeah.
they talk about an inciting incident, but not what the
Mm-hmm.
actual book is about.
Right.
And then you think like, oh, could I write a better synopsis? And you're like, well, maybe not, but still something's missing.
Right.
And I did find that with reading the synopsis versus reading the book. But I would agree with you. When I read this book, what I remember most about it was a very human book.
Yeah.
Like each character was human and they had their own inherent flaws and nothing about them was perfect.
I think the thing that's best about that book is how it ends, in that nobody of the parties that you're looking at and you're supposed to maybe side with, nobody's right.
No.
And I think that that's my favorite part of that book, was that of the parties in question, neither of them were right. So there wasn't really a side to be on, per se.
Yeah. I mean, there were some bad things done by all parties.
Oh,
but I guess
for
that's,
sure.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad you liked that.
As far as there being like, oh, this character was right or this character was right, I don't think that there was a character who was right. So I think that's what I liked most about the book, is that it was kind of left in a gray area. And
that's good.
A lot of times that's how life is. It's just a gray area.
Yeah. I do think it was a very unique book and I did enjoy it very much. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed.
Yeah, it was good. How about you? What have you been reading and watching?
So I watched Starstruck on Friday night, which was the cutest, like most escapist 3 hours I've spent in a while. It is an HBOmax show where this woman like hooks up with a guy on New Year's Eve and finds out he's a famous actor. And she is like not conventionally attractive. So like the next day she's leaving the house, or like at one point she's leaving the house and like photographers start taking pictures of her and they're like, oh no, don't worry, it's just the maid. And she like grabs the garbage and she's like, yep, just the maid, no big deal. It just like pieces out.
Oh my gosh.
But they like keep having miscommunications throughout the year over like feelings for each other or like their relationship. And it was so cute. My sister, I told her to watch it and she did. And she said, that was really sweet. And it would never happen in real life. And I'm like, I know, but he's like because the actor is like one of the prettiest men I've ever seen on TV. He was on 4 Weddings and a Funeral, the Mindy Kaling TV show. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've never seen that.
But he is gorgeous and she is very funny. So overall, it was just very good escapism and very cute. And some of the ways she like said her lines were so funny because at like at one point she's like, and she's Australian and she's like, they mistook me for the cleaning lady. And I mean, the amount of time it took them to mistake me was offensive.
It was a millisecond.
Yeah. So that's very funny. And I enjoyed it a lot. I also watched In the Heights this weekend.
How was it?
Which I liked a lot. I did see one critique, which I think is valid, which said that there was not very good representation of the Afro Latinx community.
Fair.
They felt it was a very light-skinned version of what you would see in Washington Heights, which I think is a valid critique that people should keep in mind, know. But I thought the dancing was great. I thought the way they changed the story from like the adaptation from the theater to screen was well done. They changed some of the plot points.
Sometimes that's not done well.
No. And they changed some of the plot points to like work a little bit better.
Interesting.
Especially with like the difference between then and now, because they're like making, a 2020 In the Heights versus whenever it was made, which was years ago. But overall, I highly recommend. I told you to watch it. I think it's very cute. And I just think like the colors and the beauty and the dance numbers were amazing. So
I just seen some of the previews. I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks so good.
I wanted to like cry through most of it because I was just so proud of all the people. Yeah, I was just like, it's just pure happiness that made me want to cry. So I was very moved by it. And I highly recommend it. And then reading, I just finished Valentine by Elizabeth Wetmore.
Okay, how was
it's
that?
another one that's like, hey, the description of this is not fully accurate. It's about it. Like
you lean pretty heavy into the book jacket description, don't you?
Yes, I do. Well,
I almost never read that. Like I'm weirdly one of those people that's like, I will judge a book by its cover and be like, ooh, I like this blue one. And then I will not read the description of it.
I just think there's an art to writing a description of a book. And I don't think people value that enough. Maybe.
Clearly I don't.
Yeah.
Clearly I don't. Like I went into a bookstore and was like, ooh, interior Chinatown, bought it.
I guess the problem is book jackets are trying to describe the plot, but like a lot of books aren't plot based, they're like
Sure.
character based. And I would say that that's the one this falls into,
Okay.
because it's another, like the catalyst is like a girl is attacked by like a rich white man in
Okay.
1976 Odessa, Texas. She is Mexican American,
Mm-hmm.
and on Valentine's Day, and she like wakes up the next day and goes to this farmhouse where this woman sees like what has been done to this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the book is mostly seen from like different viewpoints of women in Odessa, Texas, and how they
Okay.
react to what has happened and like the background trial that's going on. And they kind of make it sound like more of a courtroom drama, which is what I picked up and I was expecting. And it's not that at all. It's just a character dissection of different
Okay.
women. I thought it was good, not great. I think it falls into something that it's like what happened to a Mexican American girl, and you only see her viewpoint 3
Mm-hmm.
times throughout the entire novel, and the rest is eaten up by white women and their reaction. And I do get that that's the purpose of this novel, to kind of see how like white people view trauma with communities they don't understand, especially in like the 70s, and how racist that can be, and the different women react different ways, and
maybe
why
that
they
was like
react
the
those
point
ways.
that, like you said, that was the point to get you to notice that
Yes, and that was definitely
you're not getting the right perspective here, or the perspective that matters.
Well, and like the woman who wrote it is white, so I do think
Mm-hmm.
there was a part of her who wanted to tell like racism from the viewpoints of white
Sure.
women, and like the different intersectionality issues that come with
Mm-hmm.
that, because like certain women are like very feminist but also racist and different things like that. And I think she did this book the best I've seen, where it's like using, you know, another person's trauma to like assess other people's reactions. But again, I do think sometimes with these types of books, it's like, okay, this book, it's fine that it exists. And I think she did a great job. And she had other people like read it to make sure that they were like,
sure,
that she wasn't being insensitive or giving this girl the wrong voice. And it dealt well with misogyny and all that stuff. And I kind of wish we just had more books written from like the Mexican American perspective of this happening.
That's what I was going to say, but I wonder if maybe that story could have been told by someone who was Mexican American.
Yes, and I want to read more of those books, not this particular book. And it held me back from really loving the book. And I just I keep finding those a lot of times when you read like a book by a white woman where they involve people of color, where like whiteness is
have you noticed that it's always kind of like trauma based?
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that. Like
there's so much joy in the world to be had,
I know,
to learn about.
That's my thing.
Yeah.
Can't we hear about more of the happy things? Why does everything have to be trauma related? And that seems to be a thing that white authors tend to do, is make it all revolve around trauma, which I don't care for.
Yes. Well, I just saw a wonderful TikTok on that where they were discussing the book Grown.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
Okay, well, Grown is it's like a young adult novel where I haven't read it, but it's by Tiffany D. Jackson, but it's about like a girl who gets into pretty much a romance with, well, no, she gets into a relationship with someone who's abusive. It's very on point with the relationships that girls got into with R. Kelly. Ooh. So it's about an abusive relationship, but it's written by a Black author. But the girl had a TikTok where it was like, she was doing the POV of a white woman where she's like, I just love Grown. It's so good. And identifying the experience of the Black woman. And she was like, oh yeah, Tiffany D. Jackson, she wrote Let Me Hear a Rhyme. Have you read that? It's so incredible. Like, yes, it does touch on some abusive relationships, but it's all about Black joy and the creation. And then she goes back to the white woman and she's like, yeah, I'm just not sure how authentic that is. And it's about how like white people often like think their experience. Yeah, focus on the trauma.
They only have traumatic experiences in their entire life. Like, come on.
That's why I love the Brown Girl series so much, because it's just like Black women in romance, and it's just like, yeah, this deserves love just as much as any other theory. Yeah,
I have that book on hold at the library. I should get it in 2 weeks. It says. So
that's so exciting. I loved those books. I'm so happy.
I'm not a big romance person, so we'll see how it goes, Hannah.
Guys, it might be too much romance for Laura. I'm just gonna say
has come highly recommended by you.
I will say the first book has some like weird stuff with the main love interest dreams. I'm gonna warn you about it, so you like are fully prepared.
I don't know how to feel about this now.
I'm sorry. I know. But I still love them so much. They're just
Remember,
so
I
cute.
already hit my love quota for the year
I
in
mean,
January. In
yeah, but
January.
like, shouldn't you have like a 6 months like slight reboot on that?
I don't think I can do it.
Well, then maybe
Bridgerton
we
was a
should have
lot.
waited until next year.
Bridgerton was a lot. And you know what? I just watched the Audi commercial that he put out recently. It brought all the feelings back, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I like that your
I almost
Bridgerton
hit
is
my quota again.
specifically like connected to Sean Page.
It is specifically connected to him.
None of the other romance hits for
He
you,
sneezes, and I'm like, oh my gosh, romance quota hit.
but also Get a Life, Chloe Brown has
Mm-hmm.
a redheaded love interest. So some brunette will get a great starring role when this comes out.
Nobody wants to see anything about a brunette, but they do want to see a redhead.
And we can't just hire a redhead. So you have to dye the brunette's hair red.
That's funny.
Yes, but I'm glad you're going to. Oh, and I'm 30% through it. And I've only had one semi-sleepless night. So
what do you think of it so far?
It's long.
Yeah, it is long.
I'm like, so there's so many parts where I'm like, oh, Stephen King could have used that editor we always talk about with men and their writing. Because he starts talking about like boats sometimes, and I'm just like, I don't care about this. I'm just gonna zone out for a little while. And some of the ways he describes Beverly as an 11-year-old child, I'm like, I don't need to read
a lot of his descriptions of women. I'm like, this is creepy, but not in the creepy way, in the creepy like this male is gazing too much.
Well, and all the boys like are just like thirsting over Beverly in a way that I'm like, oh god, you guys are 11. I get that like you get crushes, but the way you guys are crushing is just so uncomfortable, and I don't like
also
this.
I don't know if this is just a thing that I maybe don't understand children well enough, but I think a lot of times in media and books that we see a lot of more adult type feelings coming from children, and I'm like, I don't know many 11-year-olds that I could see saying some of these things, or maybe they do. I don't know. I don't spend a lot of time around 11-year-olds, so who knows? But and
I doubt
I'm
they're
sure
that adult about it, because like
it just seems a little off to me, I guess.
Well, and I just got through one where like Richie Tozier interacts with Beverly, and there's a whole description of how he like doesn't view her in any kind of toxic way because he's a good guy, and that's literally what the book says, because he's a good guy. And then he proceeds to look at her in a very toxic way. And I was like,
usually self-proclaimed good guys, like,
well, but the book is self-proclaiming him to be a good guy. Like, he isn't thinking he's a good guy. It's the book who's establishing that he is through the phrase, because he was a good guy. And then he proceeds to look at her in a very toxic way. And I'm like, you can't, these are diametrically opposed thoughts. He cannot look at her in this way if you're telling us he's a good guy.
Something doesn't fit here.
Yeah, like one of these things is not like the other, so don't do that.
Yeah.
So I will say, like, I've always been obsessed to see if I could read it. I do think the audiobook version helps a little bit because I'm not as like in my head or slowing down to read different chapters. But like 30% in, there's not a whole lot of like, there's like 2 horror scenes, well, 4 horror scenes, but that's not a ton in like the first third of this giant book.
Right.
So I do think it spends a lot of time like establishing things, and it's definitely taking its
time. I also feel like, so I have not read this in quite a while. I actually looked at Goodreads and I was like, why do I have this marked as want to read? Because I've definitely read this. But I was thinking about it when I read it, and I feel like it comes off as more fantastical than it does realistic horror, if that makes sense.
The creepiest parts are when they show like little kids who are supposed to be dead. Like that's the creepiest part, and that's my fear of ghosts mostly. But anytime like it's the clown, like there are moments where it's a little bit creepy, but I've never been like so deeply afraid of clowns, so I'm not that freaked out by it. But we'll see, guys. I had a poll on Twitter to see who thought I would give up, and 4
How many people said you would give up? 4?
4 people voted, and it was 50-50. Like 2 voted yes and 2 people voted no, so jury is still out.
I mean, I would think that 30% in, that's a pretty large book.
Yeah.
So 30% is pretty far.
I know. I was gonna read a little bit more today while I packed. I was gonna have it in my headphones while I'm packing. I'm moving next week, guys. So been very busy.
Sure.
Yeah. But well, with that said, do we want to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's discuss the men in the shadow rising.
Okay, can we start with Perrin?
Yeah, let's start with Perrin. I feel like Perrin was like the main character of this book,
Oh
really.
My God. Or at least just the main character that we wish wasn't happening, because what is happening?
Yeah.
That's what is happening with his life. Come
so let's
on.
go pros. I mean, well, he was dumped on in the worst way.
You know what? Book. He is my favorite character.
Yeah.
And for 3 books, I have loved Perrin.
Same.
And I have tried very hard to like contain my love on the podcast, because I was like, I don't want this to be ruined for me. Well, you know, it's too late. It was ruined by the 4th book. And why did they have to take the character that was generally probably well liked by everyone and just do all the horrible things to him?
It was just like this huge thing of like, oh, you like Perrin? Guess what?
His whole family dies and he's stuck with this horrible person.
Well, and it's also like we never heard about Perrin's family except for that Gawyn prologue you discussed, where I thought he like
which
only had
is
parents
only
and was, like, raised
in like a
family.
re-released copy, so it's not well known.
Yeah, so like it's only mentioned once, and then all of a sudden we hear he has this huge family with this huge farm, and they only let him go work with the blacksmith because like he wanted to. Because I was always like, oh, Perrin kind of seems like the working man of this group, and then they're like, no, you know, he was I think if you don't
read that prologue, or get this background info in this book, you think that maybe his family was poor, like you said, and had to go work to support the family. But then you find out in this book that is not the case, that he actually has a very large family who farms. And
but then like you read about them for 3 paragraphs, and then the next chapter it's like, oh, and they're dead.
And this bugs me how he rushes stuff like that too, where you have no info on them for 3 books. Maybe just toss in a couple things here or there, like we have had about, I don't know, a million times mentioned that Perrin has facial hair. Right. How about every now and then, instead of mentioning that, we get some like a sentence about thinking back on my family's farm. They have a large farm, or I have a little brother that.
We had 3,217 mentions of Tam being Rand's real father.
I know.
But we only get 1 mention of all of Perrin's family before you just off them.
A paragraph of them, like.
They literally fridged his entire family. Like they fridged his family to make sure Perrin has to move forward with this trauma. And then Perrin immediately gets thrown into like, I'm just like.
But then he doesn't get to get over it either, which is the other thing that kind of bugs me, where they're like, you just need to rest. You just need to rest. And it's like, no, he doesn't get to. Like, he doesn't get to get over this at all. He doesn't get to handle his grief at all. No.
He just has to go forward into, and I love what they do with Perrin outside of the foo-foo stuff. Yeah. I like that he becomes like Edmondsfield, like crusader. I love that he's just like, no, I've done these wars. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to lead people.
Yeah. I like that he's got more confidence in himself and his ability to lead people. That's not my problem. That's not my problem.
My problem is what had to happen to make this all okay. And it was just like, it was service.
But did that have to happen? No, it did not. It was unnecessary. And literally his entire family, like, okay, maybe they like kill off a parent or his sibling or something like that, but literally every single one. That's like if you were reading Harry Potter and they were like, all of the Weasleys died, including Ron.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it was. So yeah, I just don't love how Robert Jordan handled that. I don't think it was handled.
He just rushes things like that so much, and
I do wonder if he went into these.
It has such a shock when you read it, because I think if this was like we said, you know, if we had more mentions of this previously, it maybe would not have been as shocking.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how you mentioned previously about like battle scenes, that they get to be confusing for you because all of a sudden you're just like in them. And I think that's what he does. He drags out things that just are not important and then rushes through things that are important.
I don't think he ever like knows. Like in these first couple books, I do wonder, like, did he have a game plan or did he just keep writing books? Because it doesn't feel like there was a game plan.
I have thought it too because of this. And it does make you wonder, okay, did he think it was going to end, that he wasn't going to get to publish another book and that this was going to be the end of it all, or what?
I just
Because
wonder if it's like a 90s thing where it's just like, well, you just keep writing them and we'll keep publishing them, whatever. Like they just kind of let him go on indefinitely without a game plan.
yeah, there's definitely no plan.
No, I don't think so either. But I do love the whole like Perrin becoming Lord of Ebonsfield.
Sure.
I love that story.
Perrin
And
Goldeneye.
then like
I would like to see more of the Wolf Brothers situation though than we do. I kind of thought that was going to be more of a thing than it is, but it's like it's mentioned and people are fearful of him, and then he sees Hopper in his dreams and that's about it. And I kind of wish there was a little more to that, you know, we saw more of the wolves coming in than we do. And it's just one of those things where it's like, is this another unnecessary thing that you're just like casually mention and then it isn't really a part of the story?
Right.
I don't know. I can't tell at this point.
Well, I mean, again, I feel like Robert Jordan just didn't want to deal with the wolf stuff. Like he didn't have anything to say on this particular book. So he was like, the Slayer killed all the wolves. That's
I know.
Like that's the reason that there's no issue here.
It's just what a way to get rid of this whole thing. I don't like that. Why?
I mean, me neither, but I think that's what he's doing.
Flesh it out a little more. Come on.
He's not great at fleshing out because the flesh is being covered by Perrin's beard. So,
oh my gosh, Perrin, you have a beard. Perrin, oh my gosh, I can't believe you have. Oh my gosh, how many times is that?
Perrin has yellow eyes, and people are way
more concerned about his
yellow eyes.
Beard.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, the yellow eyes. I've gotten used to them, but the
Perrin
facial
yellow
hair,
eyes, man.
Yeah,
the beard though. Oh my gosh,
I do love how like his issues with like Dane Bornhold, and I like how Perrin handles himself in those situations.
Yeah, I mean,
just like,
Dane Bornhold is a giant man baby, so
the biggest man baby alive. It's just like, he's like you killed my father, but like Perrin didn't kill his father, so
it's like the Princess Brides, Inigo Montoya, only Inigo
really
Montoya
drunk.
Was in the right and was actually informed, and Dane Bornhold was in another movie and thought he was playing Inigo Montoya.
Right. No, that's exactly what's happening with this. And just their conflict. Like, I don't know. The White Cloaks are so stupid. Like, they're all so stupid because you have like Joachim or whatever his name is, who's like the other White Cloak, Jackham, who wants to like question everyone and torture everyone.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Well, even like that. When they're like, hand over Perrin, it's like, you're idiots. Why would they hand him over? Like, no.
They're going to say no. And the parents like, do you guys want to come inside so we can all stick together? And they're like, I guess we'll do that until it's convenient for us.
We'll help you. And by help, we mean we're just going to sit over here and watch.
Right. No one who's going against any of these three boys is ever smart.
No.
None of
them. And these three boys are not very smart, so that says a lot.
Right. Like, it's just like you have to make them dumber and dumber to come at Perrin, Matt, and Rand on their level, because it's never, and like every man is hot-headed. No one has anything to say that's helpful. No. And
I don't exactly know the whole situation that's going on here with Ordeith, Pat Unfane, but I did kind of enjoy the like Dame Bornhold not being okay with him and like finally starting to realize like something's up with him versus just being like, he is our leader. You know, that it could have went that direction.
Well, and now like Ordeith has defected with a group of people that he's like convinced to follow him into darkness pretty much.
Which that is an interesting thing in my mind, that the darkness is kind of becoming chaotic and it's not just this one group anymore, which I do enjoy that.
Yes, I do enjoy that. I think it's interesting to see it like expand and see good versus evil in this like final battle scenario. Yeah. But do we have anything else to say about Perrin?
Is it too late for him to get
an annulment?
An annulment. I don't know how things work in Emmonsfield
now to get an annulment.
It's too late to apologize for that spanking incident. So,
oh my God, that spanking incident was awful, guys. We were not fans of him literally spanking the woman he loves. Like, that's not okay.
Also, their love is so toxic.
It's so toxic. It's so toxic.
and immature, and I just can't. But the spanking thing, what in the world?
I don't understand. I don't understand how that works. It's so
Even
dumb.
reading it, I was like, did I just read that correctly?
Well, like you're hoping you read it incorrectly. Like you're praying that this didn't happen. But it did. And
I found this summary online that this guy had made even as I was like looking back, and he said, and I think Perrin spanked her, but I'm not for sure.
No,
like,
he did.
That's how I felt reading it.
I know. Reading it, I was like, did this happen? But then I read like the synopses and they're like, oh yeah, he definitely spanked
and you
her.
texted me too, and you're like, did he spank her? And I was like, yes. That's how I read it.
So we're not a fan. You should never have physical violence towards your partner. It doesn't show for a good sign.
No.
No, thank you. No, thank you. That is all I will say. Okay, who would we like to discuss next?
Let's talk about Rand, because as much as I love Perrin, usually I feel the opposite about Rand.
Right.
But in this book, I
was a big fan of Rand.
That I liked Rand.
I liked Rand. I like when Rand
What was happening?
Well, you know what it is? We like when someone is active in the plot and not fighting against the plot. And like Rand was always like, I'm not the Dragon Reborn. I'm not the Dragon Reborn. Yeah. And now Rand's like, no, I am. So now it's time to get moving and take charge and be like the hero in my own story kind of way.
He's being diplomatic. He's learning. He's reading a lot. He's trying to figure out his history and how he fits into it and how he fits into his future and how he fits into the future of the world. I mean, he's doing well. He's calling out Aviendha for being obnoxious when
he's looking at Egwene when she's yelling at him for being mean to Aviendha, being like, what the fuck?
He's calling people out for yelling at him when he doesn't deserve to be yelled at, Aviendha. Right. Yeah.
I mean, he's still an idiot when it comes to women. Like that part is always annoying.
I did not particularly enjoy every single one of his dreams being like, yeah, I'm skinny dipping with so-and-so and we're all splashing around naked together. Hope you don't come into my dream.
Oh, that's so gross. And like at one point,
I know it's gross, but you know what? I didn't write this. This didn't become a best-selling book. You know what? I should have written some book about some stupid kids skinny dipping and made millions. Why didn't I think of that?
I mean, because you already hit your limit for romance for the year, so I don't feel like writing romance was in your cards, just so you know.
It's not in Robert Jordan's cards either. I'm just going to say that.
Do you remember our house mom who used to write romance novels?
Yes.
I used to return her library books for her. That was always fun.
Yeah, I bet.
She had a much higher threshold for romance.
Yeah, I have a very low threshold.
But yes, I was not a fan of all the dreams. But I do think like Rand's doing good. He's trying to lean into the prophecies. I like that his conflict with Moiraine is more earned. Mm-hmm. Where he's like, I have a reason not to trust you. You can't promise me that you're not going to try to control me. And I want to have.
You're right. I can't, because I'm going to still try to control things.
Right. Because
I can't let go of that control.
Exactly. I need you to fulfill all the prophecies, but like stop trying to fulfill the prophecies. Mm-hmm. Don't you get that? Because you're going to fulfill them anyway. So just slow down. And he's like, I'm not going to slow down. We have to keep moving. I also love how much like Rand's like, yeah, I'll try to learn about your people's ways. And then he just doesn't keep a secret ever and craps all over the Aiel's way. Like, come on, Rand, have a little bit more sensitivity and trust when people are like, this is a huge secret. And then he's like, we're not going to keep it a secret anymore. It's like, come on,
I also kind of love when he pokes holes in things, though, where they're like, this has always been done this way and we don't trust this or that. And he's like, well, actually, this is how it is. So.
Right. I like when he's fighting against it, but sometimes I'm like, have some more cultural appreciation.
Sure.
Yeah. Parts of that I don't love, but parts of it I do. I'm over him and Aviendha. I don't care. I hate the way Jordan.
Oh, they're totally going to be a thing.
I know they're totally going to be a thing. I just don't care. Like, I just don't care.
She cannot stand how much she is into him. She can barely hold herself together and keep herself in that tiny dress that she's wearing for Rand's benefit.
Oh, that was the worst.
It just makes her so furious how much she wants him.
That was the worst when he was like, is she wearing a dress for me? And it's just like, no, Girls don't just wear dresses for you. Learn something.
Except
Come
for
on,
Avienda.
It's so dumb. And then the whole like, oh, the IEO people hate riding on horses until this book, when for plot devices, they all ride
They
on
all
horses.
had to.
Yeah. It's so dumb. It doesn't make sense. And I don't care.
I think that was a thing too. Didn't they mention at one point that like Ogiers did not like to ride horses? But then I'm almost positive that Loyal has ridden horses.
Well, they say that they don't love riding it, but they do. Like from the first book, Loyal always had like a very like short, stout, like pony type thing that he could ride.
Oh, okay.
So it was like,
because for some reason I was thinking like that he was running or something, and I remember this being a thing with the IEL too, and then now it's like they have horses for whatever reason.
Maybe Robert Jordan knew that 30 years later there would be a TV show about it, and watching people jog next to horses isn't as realistic as you think it's gonna be.
But if they're fast.
I can't wait to see how they're going to do that.
Okay, you know what it would look like? It would look like the Twilight baseball game.
Yeah.
The way that they run where they're all blurred.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Thank you for that image in my mind.
Yes, that's what it would look like. Like some guy just like running next to a horse.
Well, I understand that like usually you're not going to like canter a horse while you're riding across the country, but like you're having a horse at a nice trot usually.
I feel like they would do more than a trot. They're on a mission here. I mean, they can't be just trotting.
I don't know.
They have to be at a gallop, I would think.
Not
just
all
think
the
about
time,
the speed
though,
that they're
going
going at Lord of the Rings. You know, that's kind of what I picture them like. Okay, we have to get here. We're going now.
I always picture more of a trot because you can't like because if you're gonna like canter your horse, that you only have so long.
But I feel like trots are just kind of like as they're going into town or whatever, you know.
I guess we'll see. We will see, guys.
We'll
see what gate we have the horses at. This is again when Laura and I show off
the horse
how
podcast.
how into horses we were at one point in time.
Yeah. I still like horses.
I haven't seen a horse in a very long time. But overall, Rand, good for you. I'm very interested to see where you go. I'm interested. He's like much more powerful where he's like, yeah, I know that people are trying to mess with me. I know what's her face, the evil woman,
Lanfear.
Lanfear is trying to mess with me, but like I can try on my terms and like cut this guy off from the source and the dark one and make him help me. I like all that stuff. He's being way more active in the plot. I thought what he saw in the like Ruidian was interesting to know that the Aiel and the tree people, the way of the leaf. I also liked
getting his history of his parentage, you know.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that. I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, because I think that that's really central to Rand's whole story.
Right.
Is his upbringing with Tam and his biological parents.
I agree, because even though he was sad, he did have that like thought of like, well, they were never my real parents, but it's sad that I won't get to meet them. Like there's a distinct thought pattern with him.
Right.
And I like that we got to see that because it was very grounded the way he thought about it. So Rand is grounded in every concern except for women. And he just wishes he had men.
He can't be grounded when it comes to women because he's splashing around in the water.
You're right. He can't be on the ground when you're splashing in water. Silly Hannah. Okay. Well, do we want to move on to Matt?
Yeah. How do you feel about him now?
I mean, I guess I'm neutral in this book. Like Matt doesn't really do anything in this book. The last book, I really liked what Matt brought to the table. Yeah. I do like that he's like getting more used to Rand and they're getting some of their old friendship back because I think Rand
you mentioned that in the last episode that, you know, him and Matt or Rand and Matt are having more of their camaraderie that they used to have. And which is nice because we had previously seen Matt being like, he's changed so much. I can't stand him. Blah, blah, blah. Can't believe how different he is. And now it's kind of nice that they, you know, are being friends again.
I did love that Matt in this book was less like, I need to leave, I need to get out. And he had that part of himself, but he was also like, well, as long as I'm here, I might as well do exactly what the people told me I was going to do. And like get this weird, like scepter thing, knife thing from these people, almost die and get reborn and like all that stuff where I think we're learning more about what Matt brings to Ta'veren, because before that, there really wasn't much for him. Like he was just kind of going around.
And you know what? There hasn't really been a ton of explanation as to his part in the story.
Right.
Because once he's separated from the dagger, we're kind of like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And
now he's very lucky. We have to figure out why. I still think that's some kind of connection to like the darkness.
Sure.
But I think it's interesting. But he doesn't play as much of a role. I mean, we find out who he's going to marry.
Yeah.
That good, I guess. I don't care. Like, again, the way he writes romance is so stupid. But yeah, overall, Matt is still solid in this book. I like that he is getting more.
He doesn't get worse.
No,
than
he doesn't
was.
Get worse.
Like Perrin.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd argue
doesn't
Perrin
spank
got
anyone.
Well, okay, so. Yeah, right. The spanking just not good. Matt just, I mean, he's getting busy with the Aiel woman. That's about it. Yeah, for the man who we said in the last book was the worst with women, he apparently has the action of the most. So
honestly, though, not surprised. But
yeah, I mean, Matt's just, I guess. Oh, I do have one more thing. Rand's relationship with Elaine. I'm kind of on Rand's side with the whole Elaine thing, where he's like, she's just been giving me mixed messages.
She is.
I know. And
she is giving mixed messages.
And again, I said this last week, but I will maintain it. If you come to a person and you're like, hey, I know we don't have long, but I'm willing to accept what we can have for this week, you can't go back and be like, I'm mad at you for not wanting more than that. Like,
but you know what you can do, Hannah? You can have your friends be horrible to someone on your behalf.
Okay. Like, I don't know. It's a very toxic relationship. Not a fan.
Oh, no, it's a wonderful relationship.
What should their character?
What is their relationship? Is the question.
Is it Relaine or
they were
Eland?
Together what? It's neither of those because it's not a relationship.
I mean, they made out like 8 times, Laura. Doesn't that mean that he can't date
the day
another
that they
girl?
were together? Okay, cool.
But it's just like
2 sideways glances that they saw. They're like, oh.
So again, not a fan of Rand's dreams, but I am a fan of like Rand, listening to Elaine because she knows more than him, and him just being like, well, obviously I'd listen to you, even when you have Elaine on the other side going like, it's so impressive that he listened to me. And I was like, no, it's not. He's just a smart human being.
Give yourself
sometimes.
Some credit. You actually know some things.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have a ton on Matt. I think Matt's a solid character. So right now, I'll be interested to see where he goes. Do you have anything else on him?
No, I'm good on him.
Okay. Yeah, what he did was cool. I love that he just went into doors without thinking. That's very on point with Matt's character.
I mean, it fits. Him to just be like,
it just fits.
I'm gonna go.
Oh, look, I get a second chance on this. I don't know if it has the same terms, but shouldn't
be careful
it?
In there? Okay. Wait a while? Okay.
I thought through my questions really well. No, you didn't.
Wait, why? Why?
I thought through all of my questions, but then I get frustrated and I just ask a bunch of stupid questions.
He's definitely like that little kid that's playing that game where it's like, but why?
But why?
But why?
But why?
But why?
But why?
You're like, well, all 3 questions are gone. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
You're done.
We're
Thanks
gonna
for playing.
Kick you out, and then Maureen's gonna yell at you two.
See this knife? We're using it to slit your throat.
Oh dear. All right, who next? Do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about poor Loyal and how he got dragged into this stupid mess of Perrin and Fael.
I mean, yeah, poor Loyal.
That's about all there is to talk about. Poor Loyal, because
he went and he destroyed the Waygate, which was really hard.
Which was hard for him.
I know
that. I mean, he did not want to do that.
He did not.
He did it, and so you know what? Loyal always has bad things happen to him in these books. That was a bad thing that had to happen to him because that's like such an important part of Ogier history. But then something worse happened to him towards the beginning of the book, where he had to be drug into Perrin and Fael's stupid little fight.
Yes.
And well, Loyal, you said you were going to show me how to travel in the Waygates. Perrin's not coming with us. Don't look over at Perrin. Don't look. Nope, he's 5 feet away. Don't look over there. You showed me. Oh my gosh.
Well, we're going to discuss Fufu next week. So,
but you know what? Poor Loyal is so torn.
I know. And he just wants to help Perrin out. He just wants to be around. I do think
he also made a promise. So
I do think it's a weird mashup of Loyal and Perrin, because I always thought Loyal was just going to be like Rand's steadfast person.
I know.
And then all of a sudden it was like, no, it's Perrin. Like, it's going to be Perrin. So that's interesting. I don't know why Jordan made that choice, but I'm interested to see where that takes us because, Loyal's just sitting there writing his book, being the steadfast person he is. He was a little bit more active when he and, what's the Aiel man's name? Starts with a G. Who went in with him? Gaul. Thank you. Yeah, they did good stuff in this book. So I do like what he did. He was a savior of women and children. Good job, Loyal.
Yeah,
but he gets used and abused by Fael. That's
about all there is to it. And
right. Okay, let's move on to
Tom.
Oh God. I mean, he threatened to spank Elaine. So
for being drunk.
I mean, Tom's just so like.
What is it with the spanking? First of all, Robert Jordan.
I don't know.
Stop being creepy.
Stop being so obsessed with spanking. It's really dumb.
Swimming around in pools with
naked women in
teenagers.
Your graves, and then a queen just like happening to come into it and see it with her own eyes, which is upsetting. I need to get out of here right now. I don't want to see someone's sex dream.
Wake up.
I can't be here. That would be horrifying. But yeah, Tom's just, I don't know. I do like that, like, Tom was helping Rand out at the beginning. I think Tom's at his best when he's playing the game and being like very thoughtful and like strategic. But then you just throw him in with like Nynaeve and Elaine, and it brings out like the worst in Tom, because then Tom just becomes useless and just like an aggro man who's like, don't leave, I'll go do this myself. And it's like, I don't like this side. So did you
feel like this weird thing with Elaine and Tom? Okay, so I feel like
Laura kept texting me. Okay, guys, I have to say this out loud. Laura kept texting me about like, wait for the Elaine and Tom stuff. It's really weird. And I was like, are they going to have sexual tension? And I was like,
so there was sexual tension a little bit.
I didn't think there was. I thought it was very like
kind of, but then it was mostly, I was like, is he her father? Is that what they're alluding to? That Tom is her father? I
do kind of question that.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, is this what Robert Jordan is trying to be like? Oh, guess what? He might be her father, and then he'll just allude to that, and then it won't be a thing. And it's like, why make us think that?
Well, I don't know, because when Maureen was like, "Oh, Tom, I know that like you happened to have her husband killed pretty much at the beginning of this book," I did think like, oh, the timelines are a little bit weird on that and a little bit fuzzy on that for like how she had 2 children with this man who wound up dead. So part of me was like, oh, is it the father of her children? But I don't know. I mean, I didn't see it as sexual attention. I saw it as very much like
the spanking thing was weird, but
the spanking thing was weird, but it did feel paternal in its own way, because like, except for the fact that like Tom was like, stop being mad that your mom slept with other men. It's weird.
Yeah.
Which, like, fair. It's weird to be that upset that you found out your mom slept with other men. Like, you mentioned it in the first book that you thought she was sleeping with her, like, chief commander person. So, like, why are you now upset that she had sex with this other man? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
It's just like selective listening, I guess, for Elaine's like, well, I know that she talks to this man a lot, but they don't have sex. And it's just like, okay, Elaine, cool beans.
Also, can I just mention, like, every time you do Elaine's voice, you kind of make it a little bit British, and it cracks me up a little bit.
I didn't realize I was doing that.
I listened to our last episode when I was editing, and you said something about like her and Tom's mustaches, and you're like, I remember, and I can't do the voice. That's my best Hannah British accent voice, but I was like,
I didn't realize I was doing
that. Why does Hannah do that voice for Elaine? But
I think it's because that's how I hear it from the audiobooks, and I'm doing what the audiobooks are saying in my mind. Like, I'm actually just trying to. I'm not doing Elaine's voice. I'm doing the way the narrator says Elaine's voice when she's talking. But apparently,
you're
I
imitating
hear it as a little bit
imitating
British.
Elaine.
Yes, that's what's happening.
Okay, and I was not doing really a British accent per se, because I can't do a British accent.
Okay, but here's the thing: I can't do a British accent. So now that you've pointed it out to me, I probably will butcher it every time. But I swear she makes it a little bit more like high fluting type stuff. So that's what I'm trying to do. But I don't know. But yeah, overall, like, I just don't care about Tom with the women. Like, I think it brings out the worst side in him. I think
he's better with Matt.
He's much better with Matt or Rand. Like, he's so much better when he's doing his own thing. But alas,
I honestly kind of like the dynamic between Rand and Moraine being together, so I want to keep that duo together.
I do like them together. I think they're very interesting together, and there's like funny fighting with them. Tom is Moraine's future husband, so they have to have interactions
because they're old, obviously.
Because they're old. When he's like 60 and she's
gotta
40.
Be together. Old people destined to be.
Yeah, destined to be heart to heart. If we listen to each other's minds. Lan is still Lan. He's doing nothing but being mad at Moraine.
Is there, and Nynaeve's wearing his favorite clothes for him, his favorite colors, which we learn are like gray and blue. Whoa, original.
Blue and green.
Oh, green. I thought it was gray for some reason. I was like, why the most boring colors? Oh, yeah, because this character has been very boring.
When did they have that conversation of like, when was he like, I like that color on you?
So I'm just thinking that it was probably at some point, like during the Eye of the World, they're traveling and they're like, let's play a game. What's your favorite color, Nynaeve? Red, like blood. What's your favorite color, Lan? Blue and green, like your eyes.
Red, like blood. Definitely Nynaeve's favorite color.
Particularly Moraine's blood. But yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like the blood of my enemies.
I love the little hair toss you were doing with that. Yeah. The blood of my enemies, just so relaxed.
That's how she would be on horseback.
Yeah. I do like that Lan was like, I'm willing to break my oath for you, because it shows their love is kind of growing and becoming more developed as something. But it's interesting.
Next book, it's happening. They're getting together.
It's gonna happen. Has to happen.
They know their favorite colors. That's all it takes.
They've kissed one time.
Do not like surprise kisses, Lan.
Yeah, surprise kiss.
Do not like that.
He surprise kissed her. Not great. You should always get consent, but unfortunately she liked it because this was the 90s.
Yeah.
What about Aram, who was like the boy who got rid of, like, went away from the way of the leaf? Yeah.
You know what? Good for him.
I liked that storyline.
Having his own set of beliefs and kind of, wanting to form his own way. Good for him.
Right. I think it's a good storyline to like see, and the way his family reacted, where it's like like their belief system is so intrinsic, where it's like, even if you watch your mother die, you cannot avenge her. You have to, like, we are pacifists to the utmost.
Right.
I think it's a good telling of like, it's almost religious, and it's someone getting away from their own religion. And I think that that's an interesting storyline to watch happen, and the way like his family reacts, the way they blame Perrin, and the way, like,
good on Perrin for the way that he reacts also.
But I also think it's good that like people question Perrin, where it's like, do you understand what you just did to this boy? Like, and the boy gloms onto Perrin a lot. So it kind of shows that like Perrin didn't consider how this would affect this child who would like need another family to replace his old family.
That's true. I didn't consider that.
And I do think that there is something to be said about like, well, you did tell him to do that, so now you are responsible for what happens. And should you have told him to pick up the sword when he is doing this out of anger? Was it smart to have someone like have this like reactionary way? Because sometimes like revenge is not going to be helpful. It's not going to make you feel whole or better. So I think it's interesting. I like that he went away from it because I think it's a good story, but I do think I
also think because it's Robert Jordan, he's going to throw it away. But
yeah, I don't know. I think he might be around for a while. So, because if he glommed onto Perrin, sometimes when that happens,
Okay. I mean, look what happened with Fayo.
Right, exactly. Like
she glommed onto him, and she's not going away anytime soon.
Go. They're going to be married forever now.
You will have to pry her cold, dead hands off of Perrin.
So dumb. I hate their relationship so much. But I liked Aram for like what he brought to the table in the discussion of like religion and revenge, and what it means to like take responsibility over someone's future, because you like Perrin is also acting in a reactionary way where he's like, I know what it feels like to lose someone. I know what it feels like to have these feelings. So why would I stop him from having those feelings? And it's like, well, because it might not be the best decision. So we'll see how that goes. But I was interested in that storyline, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Agreed. What about your favorites, Galad and Gawyn?
Oh my God. I mean, Galad is now a fascist. That is canon. He's definitely gonna become a white.
canon.
It's gonna be. Oh, he's gonna be a white cloak. Like fight. I mean, a queen had a dream where she's like, I wonder what it means that he's wrapped in white, and it's just like, well, we know.
It's either one of two things: you're going to marry him, or oh wait, oh yeah, he's a fascist.
And Gawyn is definitely like toxic masculinity distilled into one person, in my opinion. Where it's just like, where's my sister? Where's the queen?
Where's the queen?
This woman who I love, but I would never I would never betray my brother, so I can't have her, but I can't be angry about it all the freaking time.
Why is somebody else taking her horse?
And just like, oh God, these people had a different belief system than me, so like they can't survive. It's just like he murdered people, didn't have any questions of like, hey, was this right what everyone just did? Like he just fell into line. He's a good little soldier boy who's never going to question anything, and you can definitely tell there's going to be conflict with him in the future.
Oh yeah,
because of the way he and now he and Egwene are intertwined. It's probably her love interest because that's what they've been hinting at the entire time.
Because it was mentioned a couple times. So true love,
and he likes her, but it's just like, dude, Egwene is this like awesome figure who's like questions everything and is trying to develop her own sense of self in this community of people, and she wants to learn from different communities and understand
the only questions that Gawyn has are where is Egwene?
That's it. So she's going to be with the dumbest person, in my opinion, so far. I mean, like he and Matt were in like neck and neck for that.
Don't put Matt down on that level.
I'm not going to put Matt down on that level because this kid just murdered a bunch of like his like people who trained him and like respected him because the Red Asha told him to. So I do not like this man, and sorry for this very specific rant. How do you feel about those two characters?
Hannah, I specifically tried to trigger you to bring up all of my feelings.
Oh, good, because usually you're the ranter and I'm not. So unless it's Nynaeve, but like usually it's you. So I'm glad that I was able to do this.
No, I specifically set you up for this.
So you agree with me?
Hit it out of the park.
Thank you. I loved that little like very easy ball you threw to me.
Yeah.
I don't know any baseball terminologies.
We are so good at sports, guys.
Is it like a soft pitch? Is that what you call it? A softball.
Softball.
You threw me a softball and I hit it out of the park. You guys, baseball.
Oh my gosh. We're doing sports.
Sports. I'm good at sports. I like sports.
I'll be very honest. I do not know very much at all about sports, and I don't particularly like them.
Me neither. I used to watch football, but concussions.
Yeah.
It's just not great.
No. I like to watch Simone Biles.
Oh yeah, lots of people do.
The gymnastics. That's cool.
That is cool. But yeah, Gawyn and Galad, they're stupid.
Oh
Why are they there? No, thank you. Robert Jordan.
Because we need someone to marry Elaine. I mean, Egwene.
That would be incest, and that would be wrong.
Well, you know what? Maybe Tom is her father, and they're not totally full siblings. And you know what? I'm not going down that rabbit hole. We're not going to go there.
Let's not go for the.
We're not going to play siblings or dating.
We're not going to do like Martin.
We're not playing siblings or dating.
No, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Do we have anyone else we'd like to talk about? Like we can talk about.
Let's see.
There's Ruark. I like Ruark. He's
fine.
He's Rand's right-hand man. He yells at Rand when Rand makes mistakes. That's pretty much his job.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot to say there.
Oh, I like who's the guy who's helping Nynaeve and Elaine? The smuggler guy. Is it Domain Bornhold or
no. Gosh, what is his name?
Bael Damon.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, let's discuss. I like Bael Damon. I think he's a pretty straightforward character. I like that he was loyal to the girls. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry I left you behind. How can I help you? And he's like in power. And he they tell him about Black Asha and he's like, I might want to peace out. And they're like, no, you don't. He's like, I guess I'm staying here. And I mean, he and Egwene have the hots for each other. That's probably a romance we're going to see rushed because Robert Jordan.
Because people gotta be rushed into relationships. Gotta happen.
If you didn't look at each other twice and then fall in love, what are you doing?
What's happening?
I don't know. But I like that he's like all for everything they ask him to. They're like, drop this into the sea. And he's like, okay, which also like, not to say stuff, but like that's going to be a mistake. Someone's going to pull that out of the deepest point of the sea. And I can see it coming right now. Not great, guys. Not great. You guys didn't fully think that through.
Also, they don't fully think things through, but that's for another week.
Again, the worst kept secret in all the world. So here's the thing. We're hunting Black Asha.
So here's the thing. They don't keep secrets. Don't tell them secrets.
Except when they're trying to keep it away from a Forsaken one, and then they just tell her everything and then get mad about it when the Forsaken one could have just gone to anyone else and asked the same questions.
But
yeah. But I think that that's mostly, I mean, like all the Aiel men kind of feel like they're the same
Lord
character.
Luke.
Oh, Lord Luke, who's just an evil guy.
Who is the Slayer, perhaps?
The Slayer? No, I mean, he's the Slayer. We know he's the Slayer. Come on.
I love how he's trying to set this up as like, here's the mystery twist they'll never figure out.
But it's just like the first time you described him, he looked like Lan.
Obvious.
Everyone
mentioned
said he
like 70
like
times, like he has no smell. He looks like Lan. That guy could be Lan's cousin. I mean, he doesn't smell like anything except perhaps dead people.
I do love the meme you sent me about Lord Luke, where it was like him to all the
it was Lord Farquaad.
The Lord
like,
Farquaad.
Some of you may die, but it's the risk that I'm willing to take.
That is very much Lord Luke energy. And just like every time he would come in and be like, here, put this myrtle on a spike. And Perrin was like, I'm not going to do that. This guy is the worst. I don't like him. Just bury it and burn it like we're supposed to. Just follow the rules, Lord Luke.
Right.
Also, just the fact that they call him Lord Luke. Like, it's just like, it might as well be like Lord Chad. Come on, guys. Who is Lord? Like, I guess they say Lord Rand, but like Lord Luke as a name is just like the simplest draft one of a name.
Well, and it's LUC, right? Yeah.
Why? These names
different.
Are often like mouthfuls or just so underspelled. Like it's Tam or Tom, but Tom with an H. So he's different than the other men. But like then you have like Perrin. And like Matt was MAT. There's no second T in that because, he's different.
It's Matron.
But then like none of the girls are like, I guess you have Elaine. That's kind of a normal name. But like what other normal names are there? It has to be like Safra. Like it has to be spelled the most complicated name in the
Avienda.
world. Agianan.
Yeah. Nobody gets a normal name.
No, just the men. And they're all normal 90s boy names that everyone had without one of the letters. That's it.
Yeah, I know what'll make this different. I'll cut out a letter.
That'll make it Old English.
They'll never be able to pronounce that one.
Yeah, Lord Luke is, I don't know. I mean, I wish he had taken Fufu with him.
Definitely evil. So, yeah. I mean,
he's definitely evil. He's one of the evil ones. The evil guys are all like the same type of evil, though,
where you can call it from like a mile away. Yeah.
Well, they're all evil and they all are like people in power who are like supposed to be these great soldiers that everyone else around them loves, but the three boys hate.
That's it. Who does that sound like? Galad? Cough, cough.
That's true. Well, have any of the boys met Galad besides Matt?
I think Rand didn't he, when he went into the palace in the first book?
You're right. He has met.
And probably there was a lot of opportunities that they talked with each other in the background that we never read about, and they know tons about each other, like such things as their favorite colors.
Everyone has to tell each other their favorite colors when they meet.
Yes.
Like Buddy the elf.
Yes. Dragon Reborn, what's your favorite color?
What's your favorite color, Laura?
Purple. Okay. What's yours, Hannah?
I'm an adult, so I don't have one.
Wow, way to just throw me under the bus.
I thought that was very funny because anytime someone asks me
throw me under the bus.
Anytime someone asks me for a favorite color, I'm like, I just don't think I have one. But like, if I'm gonna decorate with something, it's gonna be blue, probably.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going all out on purple though, because like I am just drawn to purple things. I have a purple water bottle. I have a purple coffee mug. I have a purple bag. I like purple stuff.
I do like blue stuff, so I guess it's technically blue, but
you know who else's favorite color is blue? Lan.
Yes. So Lan and I have a lot in common.
Yeah.
I'm just a single girl looking for her Lan, guys. So I mean, he is the least toxic of all of them, but that also doesn't say much. So
no.
I also did with a lot of feeling on Veronica's episode say Lan was the hottest person, but Laura agreed with me.
As far as the casting goes, that would agree with you.
He is the hottest man cast in that show so far. Very good looking boy. Man, he's a good looking man.
He's a man. That's
I'm
just gonna say that's a man.
But Jesus was a man. He had a beard, just like
Perrin.
Yes. Oh, connections all over the place, everyone. All right. Do we have any more characters we would like to talk about? We've gotten a little zany at the end of this episode.
No, I don't have anybody else. Just shout out Perrin's beard. Glad that you haven't shaved yet. Got to keep those talking points. So, yeah.
All right. I think that will finish us up. Next week, we'll be talking about the women. I think you guys all know what we're going to say about Fufu because we can't shut up about her in any of these episodes.
Do we need to have an episode dedicated to just ranting about her? Because
I mean, you might need an episode just dedicated to
maybe I'll just record myself ranting about her.
I did say that we could have had a bonus episode in June since there are 5 weeks in June, and it would have put us back on proper 1 month, 1 book type stuff. So if you need a bonus episode to put forward your case against Fufu,
it's not even a case. It's not even a case. I don't think that there's a case. I think everyone generally agrees that she's awful. So I don't think a case needs to be made.
Well, if you're a Fufu fan, could you tweet at us at our pod? That's OWWR pod. You can tweet at us or direct message us on Instagram under the same handle. Or if you would like to make a case for Fail, you could also email us a much longer message at owwrpod@gmail.com.
Give reasons.
We're very interested in them. But until then, I think we are all set with our podcast. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Rating, reviewing, and subscribing is a great way to get us out to different people and bring more people into the conversation. Maybe someone who likes Fufu. Maybe someone who actually likes the fact that parents spanked her. I hope you aren't out there, but you might exist. I would be interested to hearing your thoughts because I think that that's something you would have to look into.
Give reasons.
Yeah. Again, give reasons. If you disagree with us or agree with us, let us know. And have a great day. Bye.
Bye.